So let's press enter and let's see what happens. Okay, let's do it. Okay, you can see it here. It says status code 200. What does that mean? Success. Yes. Welcome to the backend course. Hi, I'm Mohit Chabda, ex Salesforce, ex Walmart, and today's video is going to be very special. Why? Because we are going to build our first API using Spring Boot. Now many questions may come in your mind. What is Spring Boot, what we are going to use, and lot more. Don't worry, we'll cover a lot of things in this video, but I'll start with the practical way so that you get to know how to develop your first API. Then the theory part, like what is it, what to use, all such stuff we'll cover later, okay? Because our main focus is to develop the APIs to become a great backend developer, okay? And that will happen with practice when we create projects. So let's do it. I am super excited because when I was able to test my first API, I felt really proud, and I hope you'll get the same feeling by the end of this video. What you can do is with me try all the steps, and by the end of this video you will be also able to create your first API. Okay, so let's do it. So the first thing that we would require here is IDE. What is an IDE? It basically helps you to write the code in easier way. Just imagine you are writing code on Notepad. It becomes really difficult because you can't differentiate things. It doesn't provide you formatting. It's difficult to search in the complete project, and you won't get any compile time errors, right? So in order to have all that features, you generally use an IDE. And which IDE are we going to use? We are going to use IntelliJ, okay? So just in case you don't have IntelliJ, what you need to do is like search IntelliJ on Google. This will show you a link from JetBrains. You simply need to click download here, and then the important part is you have to ignore this ultimate one because it's a paid version. You don't want to pay for this, right? So what you need to do is just go down. There is IntelliJ Community Edition, which is free. It shows like free, built on open sources, okay? You need to download this. So based on your operator type you will get the download, and you simply download that, okay? Then you can basically install it. I have already installed it, so I'll show you how it looks like. So I've opened my IntelliJ, and let's see. Now basically you can use IntelliJ for many things. When I click on the new project here, you can see it gives you options of Java, Kotlin, and much more. So basically here we want to build our API using the Spring, and when you go to the Spring part in the generators, you can see it is not allowing you to create a project in Spring in the community edition. So it is asking to upgrade to the paid version, but we don't want to do that. So for now let's ignore it. I'll show you another way. What you need to do is simply go to the website, which is start.spring.io. I'll provide this link in the description of the video as well. So what you need to do is simply type this on your browser and then press enter, okay? So it will take you to this website, which is Spring Initializer. So basically what we are doing here is create a project using this website, and then we will simply open this project in our IntelliJ, because IntelliJ is not allowing us to create a Spring project directly, okay? And we don't want to pay to the ultimate version. So what you need to do here is select some of the options. In the project section you have options like Gradle Groovy, Gradle Kotlin, and Maven. Now what is Gradle and Maven? These are basically the build dependencies, you can say, which are required for Java, okay? So in our project we are going to use Maven because it's quite famous. If you want to know in detail about the Gradle and Maven, like what's the difference, when each of these are used, and all such details, you can put that in the comment section. I'll create a separate video for that because this video focuses on creating your first API. So let's not deviate from that, okay? So in the projects, simply click the Maven. It is kind of your build dependency. Now one more thing is, like when we talk about the backend APIs, there are multiple ways to do that. The first way is to run the things locally, which we are going to do in this video, which is the preferred way while you are on the development stage. Apart from this, the second way is using the cloud platforms like AWS, on which you can deploy and easily run things, which is used in the production environments. The third way is using the Docker, which basically provides you the portable environments. There are many other ways like Kubernetes and much more, and we will talk about all those later in the upcoming videos. But in this video we are keeping things simple, so we are trying to create and test our API locally, okay? And later when we know how to develop the things, we'll go to the upper stages, right? So coming back to this setup, we have selected Maven here, and the language we will keep Java. Then the Spring Boot, the version that you have to select, try to keep it any 3.x, like 3.5.6 here is selected, which is fine. I just want you to have 3 point something, okay? Then in the project metadata you have things like group, artifact, name. So I'm not changing any of these, let's keep it same. The package name comes using this only. You can see it has combined the group and the artifact, so it becomes com.example.demo. it's a package name. I'm not changing anything here, and the packaging and the Java version also remains the same, okay? So the only thing that you need to modify now is the dependency part. So we need to add some of the dependencies. I'll show you here. First one I'm adding is the Spring Web, okay? You can see here it is useful for the REST APIs, okay? So I'll click on this and it will be added. The next dependency I'm going to add is the validation one. So just keep on adding with me, okay? These are the two. I'll add few more here. The next dependency is the Actuator, okay? Choose the Spring Boot one. I've selected this, so we have 3 for now. After this I am going to add one more, which is the DevTools, and then lastly I am going to add one more plugin, which is Lombok. It helps to reduce the boilerplate code. It is helpful for creating the getter setters and the IDE plugin settings. It is helpful to remember all that stuff, so I'll add that here. So you can see we have added 5 here: Spring Web, validation, Spring Boot, Actuator, Spring Boot, DevTools, and Lombok. Don't worry, I'll provide all this detail in the description section as well, but I would recommend that you do this alongside with me in this video, so that end of the video you are also done with this process. Okay, so once we are done with all these settings, you can see here Maven, Java 3.5.x. this is all same to same, and then few of the dependencies I'll simply create on generate here, and once I click on the generate, it provides an option to download this compress zip, okay? You can simply download this. It will be downloaded. You can see it is downloaded. Now what we need to do is like simply go to that project where it got downloaded. So I downloaded it in the Spring Boot project in my documents. You can open your location wherever you downloaded it. So the next step you want to do is like extract this zip file, okay? So I'm doing here extract all, and I am adding it here only. So you can see this is the demo project, and in the demo project you have few of the things that are already built. Because we use the Maven option, you can see we have the Maven and the POM file, which is an XML file which is related to Maven only, okay? So what now we are going to do is open this demo project in the IntelliJ IDE. So I'm going to open it here. So in the IntelliJ you simply click on open, and inside that basically you simply go to the place where your this project is present. So I kept it in the documents, so I go to the Spring Boot project, and this is the demo, okay? So demo, I click on OK, and it will open this project for me. Now it is loading, so you simply click on load, and some more things like exclude folders, that's fine. You can click on that. It is asking for one of the permission. Click on yes to allow that, and basically you can see it is doing all that build kind of thing. In case it's also ask you for the Lombok plugin or some other things to be installed, because those are required here, you can simply click on the install and that will get installed, right? You can see here we have these Maven related files. POM.xml also represents it's a Maven project, okay? We did not use Gradle. In that case, some separate build related files would have been generated, but we are not looking on that part for now. What we focus on is to create a first API, okay? So let's go into the SRC section. You can see in the main we have this Java, and this file is already created. Let me increase the size here, font size, so that you are able to see. You can see it is using the annotation Spring Boot application, and this is our demo application which has the main method. Okay, so basically the Spring Boot, you can see it has reduced a lot of boilerplate code. Like, it's a very small method here, so using the annotations we can do a magical stuff now. Okay, so this is your demo application. So if I show you the structure of this project, it would be something like this. You can see this is the demo, which is the name of our project, and then it has some Gradle or Maven files because we used Maven, so it will have this mvnw wrapper files, and then we have this com.xml for Maven. In case we picked Gradle, there would be build.gradle, but because we use the Maven, there is com.xml file. And then in the src you have this main, and inside main you have this java com example demo package, and inside that you have your classes. This class I just displayed it to you, demo application. This is the main class which bootstraps the Spring, and apart from that we can create more classes. You can have the controller, service, repo, and many other things. Don't worry about the architecture, I'm going to explain that in the next video. It is simply the structure. Now we are going to have here services, repository, controllers. Okay, so this would be kind of the structure. So the main part is we are keeping our code in this package com example demo. I'll also show you this structure in the IntelliJ. You can see this is the demo. Inside this you have this Maven related package, and then you have this src, that the one that I displayed it to you. You can see src here, it has main Java. So similarly you can see main Java and this package com.example.demo, which is our package name. Inside that you have this your demo application file which contains the main method. Okay, so what we are now going to do is create one more file, which is the controller file. Okay, and in that we'll write a very simple line of code, and then we'll try to run it so that you get some understanding. Okay, don't worry much about like what is this code, I don't understand. Don't worry, just try to replicate this. Whatever I am doing, you will get some satisfaction at the end of the video, and later we will keep on exploring things and you will get more understanding as you do things. Okay, so how do you do that? Simply right click on this, then you click on new, and then you click on package. Okay, and then you need to write here controller. Okay, so this is the new package that we are creating here. So controller is created. Inside controller, what we need to do is create a new Java class. Okay, and what I'm going to give name of this is HelloController. Any name you can give, I'm just saying HelloController here. Click on class, and then it creates a new one. After this you simply need to add some code in this class. Don't worry about this code. For now I'll add this code in the description section so that you can easily pick it from there, but for now we just need to copy that and paste it in this HelloController class. Okay, so once we are done with that, what we are going to do is run this API. So this is your API. Which one? This one. Okay, this one is your API. I'll explain it to you. When we run it, you'll get more understanding what happens, how it is happening. I'll show it to you, but for now understand this is your API. So this is the URL of your API. /hello is the URL of your API, and what it is doing is it is giving you hello Spring Boot message. Okay, so let's try to run it, and then we'll get some understanding, and then I'll show you what actually happened. So just go to your demo application part, and there you see there is an option to run demo application.java. Just click on this, and when we click on this, you can see it is building the project here, and once it builds, it shows you some messages here. It is showing me, see, some of the messages like initializing Spring embedded web application context. So Tomcat is creating a local host here, and we will use that. And you can see the final message that we received is com.example.demo.demo application, which is our package.application name, that is the demo application. It says started demo application in 4.941 seconds. Okay, I'll zoom it for you so that you can see it clearly. You can see it has started, so it means the build was completed successfully and now it is started. Okay, so now basically you can run your first API. What was your API? This is your API. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the terminal here, and in the terminal you can call this API. But how will you call this API? You know this URL, but before this, what is the host? The host is mentioned here. You can see here 8080 is the host. It has been provided to you by the Tomcat here. So 8080 is our host, as our host, and then this URL to hit our API. Okay, so I'm going back to the terminal. I'll increase the size so that it is visible to you, and then I'll also increase this, so because these are the only important things that you should see. Now what I'm going to do is hit this API. How do you hit that? Either you can use Postman, which I'll use in the next video. I'll show you how do you hit from the Postman tool. Okay, but for now we can also hit this API from this terminal. We can simply paste the curl request here. So I'm just pasting this. So we are using curl and then hitting this localhost 8080 port, which I displayed it to you. See 8080. So we are using that port, and after that the URL is this /hello. Okay, so let's press enter and let's see what happens. Okay, let's do it. Okay, you can see it here. It says status code 200. What does that mean? Success. Yes, in case you want to revise about the status code and everything, refer to this video. We discussed about it. Okay, so you can see the content says message, and the message is hello Spring Boot. So this is the same thing that you can see here. Okay, we returned greeting. What is greeting? Greeting is a DTO class. You want to revise DTO, refer to this video. Okay, so in the DTO we simply have one field which is message, and you can see here message is getting displayed, and the value of message we provided hello Spring Boot, and that is what is getting printed here. And you can see this is HTTP protocol. Refer to this video to revise. We covered all of the basics earlier, right? So you can see this is the response that we are getting. Okay, so it is so exciting because this is your first API. You made this request using the curl. Okay, and this is the response that you are getting. I'll show you how can you check like whether it's working correctly or not, right? What I'm going to do is stop it. You clicked here, it has stopped now. I'll modify now, like instead of hello Spring Boot, I'll say hello, my name is Mohit Chabda. Okay, so this is the updated text. Now what I'm going to do now is rerun this in going back to the demo application and click here run again. Okay, so I'll show you HelloController here, and you can again see it took us to the run section where it is again running this. It shows the port here 8080 and it says started demo application. Okay, so it has restarted now. So what we are going to do is now again run this same curl command. I'll show you now. Okay, let's press enter and see what is the response. All right, so you can see here the response is hello, my name is Mohit Chabda, right? So this is the new response. So it updated based on my code changes. So our code is working perfectly fine, right? So this was your first API. Now let me help you understand what actually happened. Okay, so first demo application is the basically your main application which has the main method. It is using the annotation of Spring Boot application, right? And then what we did was add a new file in the controller. So the basic architecture is controller will be used to provide the APIs. Okay, so here we created a HelloController. Of course, we would keep the better naming conventions when we go to the next videos, but this was kind of your first program, so I kept it HelloController. But you can see it is using REST controller annotation, which tells Spring that we are going to provide the API stuff here. Okay, so you can see here we have used get mapping annotation and it has this /hello. Okay, so basically what it represents is it represents the get method. So this is get API. We discussed about get, post, patch, put, delete, all such methods in this video. You can refer to that, but get mapping annotation simply tells you it's a get API. See, the annotation is making things so simple for us, right? So you are just writing get mapping, it represents it's a get API. Then here you are simply giving the URL. Okay, you are providing what is the URL on which this API will get hit. Okay, and inside that you are returning your response. Here we simply returned, you can say, a string message, but you can make any logic here, right? Your API can perform many calculations, can do wonderful kind of stuff, and then return that. So that logic is, for example, written in this method. So now you know, like when the API request comes on the server, your this method will get hit, and from this method, whatever handling that you did, you could basically fetch the data from database and do some more computations on it and show the different result. Here you can do all such kind of things. You can do some AI magical stuff here or whatever you want to do, but you can clearly see when the request comes, this method is getting hit because we have provided the annotations and the URL here. So it is getting hit, and from here you are returning your response. Okay, so what this Spring Boot and these annotations are helping you is, for example, the REST controller, as I told, it represents that we are providing the APIs here, right? So it does wonderful stuff. Like for example, it will convert the Java code to the JSON and then give it back to the client. For example, you can see we simply returned like the new greeting Java object, right? But in the response you can see the content has the JSON format. So all this handling is already done using this annotations and this Spring Boot setup. So it makes things so simple for you. You just need to write very minimal kind of code and things work for you. And you can see all these annotations are part of the Spring framework. Yes, you remember we added the web dependency, right? So all these dependencies that we added here, you can remember Spring Web we added and all such stuff we added. So these are really helpful, right? So it helps you to reduce a lot of boilerplate code, and you can write very small code and using which your API will work. It looks so magical. I felt really wonderful when I was able to run my first API. As I told earlier, this is the local way to run the things. In the next video I'll also show you how to run this via Postman. It's not like you are just running on the terminal and you are saying okay, but you say generally we use Postman and all those tools. You can do that as well. I'll show you in the next video. We'll create another wonderful API. Like what I can make is like a CRUD based API where we will perform operations like create, update, delete and retrieve, all such things, and I'll show you how do you use those via Postman as well, right? So this was your first API. Now let me take you to some of the theory section where you will be able to understand what is Spring Boot and what are the things happening. But I hope you were able to run your first API, and with your next videos I assure you that you will get much more knowledge and you will feel really confident about the backend. So one more thing I'll say here is, don't worry about the particular things like we are using Spring Boot here or Java. The main thing I notice about the software development is in case you just know one of the stuff, like for example if you know how to develop APIs in Java using Spring Boot, you won't find it difficult to build APIs in any other framework as well. The basics most of the time remains same. So once you have the confidence of building APIs, like we just talked about the Spring Boot here, so it will really help you to boost your confidence, and then it would never feel difficult for you to like creating APIs or any stuff related to backend. You will surely be a backend pro. Okay, so stay tuned with me in this complete playlist. If you haven't subscribed it yet, subscribe the channel and share it with your friends so that all of us can learn and grow. Okay, so let me take you now to some of the theory part where we learn about what is Spring Boot and stuff. All right, so we are here to discuss some of the things. Let's first start like how did this code actually work. So first of all, the Spring Boot application annotation, it starts the IOC container, that is the application context. What is the Spring Boot application annotation? This is the one which is present in this demo application. You can see this is the annotation. So basically it starts the complete flow. It provides you the application context. Okay, and after that the next thing is the component scanning. Because we wrote all the code under com.example.demo package, so it picks up the annotations like the REST controller and some other annotation which we will use in the upcoming videos, so you will understand that. So it automatically picks up like REST controller. I can show you, we created this class and it had this annotation of REST controller. Okay, what these represent: REST controller, service, repository. I'll also tell about you in the next video where we are going to use the repository, service and everything, so I'll explain it to you more, but for now you can remember it like the REST controller annotation is where you provide your APIs. Okay, so because here we described our API, so we use this controller class. So REST controller, it automatically picks this annotation, right? So going back here, and then basically we had the dependency that we added, right? I displayed it to you, like we added the Spring Web and all such dependencies here. So what it does, it like it will automatically create an embedded Tomcat. You saw some of the logs related to Tomcat here. I can display it again to you. You can see here Tomcat started on port and all such things, Tomcat web server. So all these are basically via the web dependency that we added. So it created an embedded Tomcat and then set up Spring MVC routing and then configure Jackson for JSON. You saw like in our code we simply returned this Java object. So greeting is a class. We simply created an object of that and passed some parameters in it and simply return that. But in the output you saw that the output was in the JSON format, right? So how did that happen? That also happened using this web dependency that we added, which configured the Jackson for the JSON. Okay, and then finally your mapping, which was the get mapping annotation and had this URL in it, it became a real HTTP endpoint, and when you hit via curl request from the command from the terminal, you get a call here in this method and then the basic flow will work, right? So this is the basic flow, how things happen. Now after this, let's also talk about what is actually Spring Boot, right? So Spring Boot is a layer on top of Spring. Okay, and why do we use that? Because it gives you auto configuration. For example, when adding like Spring Boot starter web, it auto configures embedded Tomcat and JSON via Jackson, the same thing that we talked about, right? So Spring Boot helps doing that. And then it will also provide you some of the starters, okay, which are some of the dependencies which will be basically required for you. I'll talk about some of the starters as well, from which you'll get some understanding. And then it also provides you the embedded server on which you can run your app, right, with the main method, and no external Tomcat is needed. So we saw this case, right? So for example, in the demo application we clicked on this run button, so because it's currently running, so it is giving you option to kind of rerun and then stop. So this all features or functionality is provided you by the Spring Boot, right? So that way it's really helpful. And then of course it provides you other things as well, for example the health checks, metrics, logging, profiles, etc. So Spring Boot is really helpful. It makes life very simple for you. You just saw like we just created one simple file and we were able to run our first API. So that was the magic of Spring Boot. Now I mentioned starters here, so let me show some of the starters. So these are some of the starters, like first one is the Spring Boot starter web, which is helpful in the REST APIs. We talked about embedded Tomcat, Jackson and all such things, so that are provided by this starter web. You can see we added this from here like Spring Web. So it helped us with all this. You can see it from it names web, RESTful API, Spring MVC, Tomcat. So all these things are done using this Spring Web dependency. Okay, and the complete name for this is actually Spring Boot Starter Web, and then you have this Spring Boot Starter Validation, which is due to this validation dependency. So basically we added this as well, and it helps you with the annotations like valid, not null, and all such basic checks that you want to do for the validation. Next, you had your Spring Boot Starter Test. It's a testing stack, like for example JUnit 5, and also helpful in mocking some of the things. Then we had few more of the dependencies that we added, right? The DevTools and the Actuator, you can see it here. So all these things we actually added as a dependency, and this was some of the theory, like how these were helpful to us. Okay, now in case you are having any troubles, like, so we are going to talk about some common issues that you may face, and it may be helpful for you to run your first API. So for example, the first case can be like nothing is starting for you, or you are getting 404 kind of error. So for that you need to make sure that the class that you added, it should be part of the base package where your Spring Boot application annotation was used. For example, I can show it here to you. The Spring Boot application annotation was part of the demo application, which is part of this com.example.demo package. So you make sure that whatever you add, for example we added this controller package and HelloController inside it, this is part of this com.example.demo. So you also make sure that this is under the package which contains this Spring Boot application annotation. Okay, let's go to the next one. If you are facing Lombok related errors, you can simply install the Lombok plugin in your IDE and enable the annotation processing. So generally when you open your Intel IJ, it would show somewhere here like you can install this plugin and all such things. So you can do that part. Going to the next one. In case it shows you the port already in use, then in that case you can kill the process and rerun it. Another issue that you may face is validation not firing. Then use the valid annotation on the controller method params and add this dependency of like Spring Boot Starter Validation. Although I think it should be already added because you have added that dependency here, but just in case you missed it, you can install that from the Intel IJ as well. So these are some of the common issues that you may face, and using this you would be able to solve it. But just in case you're not able to fix this via these instructions, put that in the comment section. I'll try to help you out with that. Okay, so this was our video in which we built our first API using the Spring Boot. I hope you got the basic understanding. I tried to keep it simple so that you can understand, but in case you have any doubts, feel free to put that in the comment section. I'll try to help you out in that. This was just the starting. We are going to cover a lot more topics, more complicated, complex APIs and concepts that we are going to cover in the upcoming videos of this playlist. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check all the videos in this playlist. And in case you found this video helpful, press the like button and share it with your friends and family so that all of us can grow and learn together. Alright then, this is Mohit Chabda signing off. Subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching. See you in the next backend video. Bye bye.